Here are 10 of the most baffling cases ever recorded. Number 1. Amelia Earhart was a legendary aviator and adventurer, known for her record-breaking flights and daring spirit. But in 1937, she embarked on her most ambitious mission yet, to become the first woman to fly around the world. Accompanied by navigator Fred Noonan, Earhart set out from Miami on June 1, 1937, in her custom-built Lockheed Electra plane. But on July 2, after completing most of the journey, the plane disappeared over the Pacific Ocean. Despite an extensive search and investigation, no trace of Earhart, Noonan, or the plane was ever found. To this day, the mystery of what happened to Amelia Earhart remains one of the most baffling cases in aviation history. Number 2. Another case that has confounded investigators for decades is that of the Zodiac Killer. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, a serial killer terrorized the San Francisco Bay Area, murdering at least 5 people and taunting police with cryptic letters and ciphers. The killer called himself the Zodiac, and some of his letters included detailed plans for future attacks. Despite an intense manhunt and numerous suspects over the years, the Zodiac Killer was never caught. The case remains one of the most notorious unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. Number 3. The Black Dahlia Murder. In 1947, the mutilated body of a young woman was found in a vacant lot in Los Angeles. The victim was later identified as aspiring actress Elizabeth Short, who had been brutally beaten, cut in half, and left for dead. Despite an extensive investigation and numerous suspects, the case remains one of the most famous unsolved murders in American history. Number 4. The Axeman of New Orleans. In 1918 and 1919, a serial killer known as the Axeman terrorized the city of New Orleans, breaking into homes at night and brutally murdering his victims with an axe. The killer claimed to spare anyone who was playing jazz music at the time of his attacks, leading to widespread panic and confusion. Despite several suspects and a high-profile investigation, the identity of the Axeman was never determined. Number 5. The Hinterkaifeck Murders. In 1922, a family of 6 was brutally murdered on their farm in the small town of Hinterkaifeck, Germany. The killer or killers were never identified, but evidence suggested that they had been living in the attic of the family's home for several days before the murders. The case remains one of the most chilling unsolved crimes in German history. Number 6. The Tahmshed Case. In 1948, an unidentified man was found dead on Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia. Clues found on and near his body led investigators to a copy of a book called The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, with a mysterious code written inside. The case became known as the Tahmshed Case, and despite numerous theories and investigations over the years, the identity of the man and the meaning of the code remain a mystery. Number 7. The Villisca Ax Murders. In 1912, family of 6 and 2 young houseguests were brutally murdered with an axe in their home in Villisca, Iowa. Despite an intensive investigation and several suspects over the years, the case remains unsolved. The grisly nature of the murders and the lack of a clear motive have made the Villisca Ax Murders one of the most haunting and perplexing cases in American criminal history. Number 8. The Disappearance of the Roanoke Colony. In 1587, English settlers established a colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. However, when a supply ship arrived 3 years later, the entire colony had vanished without a trace. The only clue was the word Croatoan carved into a post. Number 9. The identity of Jack the Ripper. In 1888, a series of gruesome murders took place in the Whitechapel district of London, England. The killer, who became known as Jack the Ripper, was never caught, and his identity remains a mystery to this day. Number 10. The fate of the crew of the Mary Celeste. In 1872, the Mary Celeste, a ship carrying cargo and passengers, was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean. The crew was nowhere to be found, but the ship was in good condition and there were no signs of violence. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to CrimeSeen for more videos.